going to discuss this with Stefano Pontecorvo in Rome. He's a former senior NATO senior civil representative to Afghanistan. Stefano, good to have you on this news hour. Now, I understand you have a long history with Afghanistan, having spent part of your childhood in the 1960s in Kabul. You've seen the country change over the last few decades. And as a senior diplomat, do you feel that the international community has failed the people of Afghanistan, given so many are now living below the poverty line?
Thank you for having me. It's great to be back. Yes, absolutely. I think that the international community has failed the Afghan people. It has failed the Afghan people because they were expecting something different from us. They were expecting, strategic patience to carry forward and finish what we had started. That didn't happen because an American president made some electoral calculations, by which they decided to negotiate with the Taliban instead of fighting them. And we ended up with this chaotic evacuation and Afghanistan being brought back to the Middle Ages, to what actually is not an Islamic rule, but it is more a Pashtun version of the Islamic rule.
Stefano, the Taliban leadership now says that one of the main differences in the country at the moment is that there is security, something they say the previous administration wasn't able to achieve. However, we've seen the leader of al-Qaeda, Ayman al-Zawahiri, being killed in Kabul very recently, and there have also been other attacks on Afghan soil in the past year. What are your thoughts on this?
Look, there is certainly more stability and more security in Afghanistan, but that is mainly because those who were putting the bombs are now in power, and those who are making trouble are actually now in power. That said, there is more stability and more security for the average Afghan. What has not changed is the contiguity of the Taliban with a number of terrorist groups. First and foremost, al-Qaeda itself. It's not the Interior Minister, Sirajuddin Haqqani, is strongly rumored of being part of the leadership of al-Qaeda. And it's not a coincidence that al-Zawahiri was killed on the balcony of the guest house of the Ministry of Interior. So I think that, there is a more security and stability for the people of Afghanistan, as I say, mainly because the Taliban were the ones who were putting the IEDs and the bombs and killing people. But the terrorist regime is still there.
So more security and stability in Afghanistan, but can the Taliban leadership use that to ensure that the world actually recognizes their leadership and their government? And if other countries don't do that, what's the way forward for this country?
Look, I think there's a long way to go for recognition of the Taliban, and nobody, not even the countries in the region, are thinking about it now. So I think there's really a long time to go. What we need to do, however, is to engage with the Taliban. Informally, formally, without recognition, but engage in trying to lever that little influence that we have, that countries in the region have, that Turkey has, to try to make them understand that this is not the way forward.
And I'd like you to just talk to us a little bit about your experience in Kabul a year ago. You, I understand, were on one of those final flights out of the Afghan capital. What was it like?
Look, I was the last non-American and non-Brit to leave Afghanistan. I left on the 27th, leaving behind only the American and British troops, which were in guarding of the airport. It was exactly what the figures, the images that you're showing are like. We managed to, the turning point, the tipping point in the situation became on this very day last year at around 14:30, when news spread that President Ashraf Ghani had fled the country and the institutions collapsed. Then there was no hope any longer for a transitional government. Taliban rule was certain. So a lot of people who felt uncomfortable and unsafe with the Taliban assaulted the airport. And that is what I remember most, chaos. I remember we then managed to get around to pulling out in the end over 124,000 people. So, we did in the end, given the circumstances, a good job. But the good job we did was littered with, with human stories, which to this day haunt me.
Stefano Pontecorvo, really appreciate your insight on the story. Live to us there from Rome. Thank you so much.
It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thank you.